My parents promised a family vacation for my birthday, but left without me, leaving my sister to humiliate me and ruin my day. Here's how I got back at them. My name is Emily, and I'm 26 years old. My family promised me a birthday vacation, a celebration I'd been looking forward to for months. But on the day we were supposed to leave, my parents left without me, leaving me behind to deal with my sister's cruelty. Instead of celebrating, I spent my birthday humiliated, and my sister reveled in the chaos. What they didn't know was that I wasn't going to let them get away with this. Here's how I turned the tables and got back at them. Growing up, I always felt like I was the one left behind. My sister, Sarah, was the golden child of the family. Everything she did was met with praise, and no matter what I did, it never seemed to measure up. My parents adored her. I could see it in their eyes whenever they spoke to her, how they listened to every word she said as if it were gospel. She was their pride and joy while I was just there. It wasn't something they ever said outright, but the way they treated us made it clear. Sarah had the charm, the looks, and the knack for getting what she wanted. Meanwhile, I worked hard for everything, but it never seemed to be enough. As the years passed, the pattern never changed. I did everything I could to stand out, to earn their affection, but it always felt like Sarah was one step ahead. So, when my birthday came around, I had low expectations. I knew not to expect anything grand, but deep down, I always hoped for something. Anything that would show me I mattered. This year, however, felt different. My parents, after years of brushing aside my milestones, promised me something that felt too good to be true. A family vacation for my 26th birthday. They told me they wanted to make it up to me, to show me that they appreciated me, even if it had taken them this long to realize it. At first, I was skeptical, but when they confirmed the details, plane tickets, a hotel reservation, everything, I began to allow myself to believe that maybe, just maybe, this time would be different. As the days drew closer to my birthday, Sarah started complaining. She didn't want to be part of the trip. She had plans with her friends, and of course, she made it clear that she didn't care much for the vacation. I could feel the tension building, but I tried to push it aside. This was about me, after all. The vacation was my birthday gift, not Sarah's. For once, it was my time to shine, and I tried to hold on to that optimism, thinking this would be the birthday where I would finally feel like I mattered. But when the morning of my birthday arrived, things took a turn for the worse. I woke up excited, expecting to see my parents ready to go, just as they had promised. But when I walked into the living room, there was nothing but an empty house. The house was quiet. No cake. No birthday decorations. No parents. My heart sank. There was a note on the kitchen counter, written in my mom's hurried handwriting, but it was nothing more than a few lines saying they had left early for the trip. No explanation. No apology. Just a promise that they'd make it up to me later. I sat there in disbelief, reading and rereading the note. This was the ultimate betrayal. The family vacation I'd been looking forward to for weeks wasn't happening. And to make matters worse, Sarah wasn't even there to explain herself. She was probably enjoying herself with her friends, as always, while I was left to deal with the fallout. I couldn't just sit there, helplessly feeling sorry for myself. The house felt cold and empty, like a shell that no longer felt like home. I needed something to break the silence, to give me a reason to stop spiraling. My thoughts were clouded with frustration, so I did what I usually do in times like this. I started calling. I called my mom first, but she didn't pick up. Then I called again and again. It didn't take long before the familiar sinking feeling in my stomach set in. I checked my messages, hoping for some sort of response, but my phone was eerily silent. This was so unlike her. Mom was always the one to keep in touch, to check on me. Yet there was nothing, no word, no text, nothing. I tried sending her a simple message, trying to stay calm. Hey, just wondering when you guys are coming back. Can you please update me? No response. Frustration turned to confusion, and confusion quickly became anger. How could they do this? I mean, they had promised me this vacation for months. They knew how much it meant to me, how I had looked forward to spending time with them after everything we'd been through in the last year. They knew it was supposed to be my day. But instead of getting the love and attention I was promised, I was left staring at a phone that wouldn't ring. That was when I decided I wasn't going to wait around anymore. I needed answers, and I wasn't about to sit in the dark. So, I decided to call Sarah. When I dialed her number, it rang for a few moments before she picked up. Hey, Em. Her voice was unusually chipper, too cheerful for someone who knew what had happened. How are you doing? My voice cracked before I could control it. How am I doing? Sarah, what's going on? Why did they leave without me? Where are they? There was a hesitation on the other end of the line. I could tell she wasn't ready to admit anything. Oh, they had to go out of town. It's nothing personal, really. They said it was last minute, but they just thought you'd be fine on your own, you know? Her words were vague and uncomfortable, as if she were trying to sugarcoat the situation. What? I snapped, feeling my blood begin to boil. You're telling me they just left me? Without a word? This was supposed to be my birthday vacation, and they just left me out of it. I know, she said quickly, trying to calm me down. But honestly, Em, you've always been so independent. They thought you'd be okay. And, well, they had other stuff to handle. Family things. Family things. I repeated, incredulous. This was supposed to be about me, Sarah. My birthday. They didn't even mention it. They didn't even call to check in. I heard her exhale on the other end. Look, I didn't even know it was happening this way, but you know Mom, right? She's always like this. It's not a big deal, really. But it is a big deal, Sarah. They made promises. And then they just left. Do you understand how this feels? I could barely contain the hurt in my voice. I didn't mean to upset you. But you know, Mom has been going through a lot, too. I'm sure it wasn't intentional. I felt a heavy silence in the room. My sister's response felt hollow, and I knew deep down that she wasn't telling me the whole truth. Something wasn't right. It didn't make sense. They had planned this. They hadn't forgotten. They'd consciously chosen to go without me, and Sarah, whether she realized it or not, had been the one to cover for them. It was then that I had a thought, a gut feeling that told me I needed to check the texts and calls I had missed earlier. Maybe there was something I hadn't seen, something I was missing. After scrolling through the messages and call logs, I found it. There it was. Right before they had left, my parents had texted Sarah, talking about a family emergency that required their immediate attention. The timing was peculiar. It was right when they were supposed to be preparing for the trip they had promised me. I felt my heart drop. The more I looked at it, the clearer it became. They hadn't canceled because something came up. They had canceled because they had chosen something else over me. They had lied, and Sarah had been the one to cover up the truth. The realization hit me hard. This wasn't just a mistake, it was intentional. They didn't care enough to prioritize me, and that hurt more than anything else. But I wasn't going to let them get away with it. Not this time. The next morning, I was still processing everything that had happened. The hurt was lingering, but it wasn't just about being forgotten on my birthday. It was the realization that my family had repeatedly chosen my sister over me, even when they knew how much I had sacrificed for them over the years. I couldn't stay in the same house, feeling sorry for myself. I needed answers, and I needed to confront them head-on. I wasn't going to let this slide, not after everything I had done for them. I was determined to make them understand the impact of their actions. I called Sarah again, but this time my tone was cold. "We need to talk," I said, not bothering with pleasantries. Her voice faltered on the other end. "What's going on, Em? You sound different." I took a deep breath, steadying myself. "I know about the texts, Sarah. I know you've been covering for Mom and Dad. I saw it all. And you're not going to convince me it's all just some misunderstanding." There was a long pause before she spoke, and when she did, her voice was defensive. "I wasn't covering for them. I was just. Don't lie to me." I cut her off. "You knew about the family emergency, and you knew they were planning to leave me behind. Don't act like I don't see through it. This was deliberate. You knew it was wrong." I could hear her gulp on the other end, and for the first time, I heard a crack in her confident tone. "Look, I didn't want to get involved. I knew how much you were looking forward to the trip, but you have to understand, Mom's been under a lot of pressure. She didn't mean for it to hurt you." "Bull," I snapped. "This isn't about pressure. This is about them treating me like I don't matter. It's about them choosing everything else over me, and it's about you standing by and letting it happen." "Em, please," Sarah pleaded, her voice sounding like she was on the verge of tears. "I didn't mean to hurt you. I really didn't. But what am I supposed to do? I'm stuck in the middle." "No, you're not," I said firmly. "You've always taken their side, and that's why I can't trust you anymore. They don't get to treat me this way, and neither do you." There was a long silence after that. I could hear Sarah sniffling softly, but I wasn't about to back down. I had given them all the chances in the world, and now I was done. I couldn't allow myself to be the victim in their drama anymore. But I wasn't going to let this go without making sure they understood the gravity of what they had done. I had something planned, something that would expose the depths of their neglect and make them regret taking me for granted. Later that day, I went to the family group chat. The one where they always posted about the trips they took together, the events they attended, and every little milestone they celebrated as a family. I knew they'd be watching the chat, and I knew it was time to make a statement. I wasn't going to be silent anymore. I typed out a simple message that would speak volumes. "It's amazing how you all choose everything else over me. I guess my birthday just wasn't as important as your family emergencies or whatever lies you want to tell yourselves." I stared at the message for a while, contemplating if it was too harsh. But then I remembered how many times I had put myself last for them, how many times I had been sidelined for the sake of everyone else's convenience. No, I wasn't going to back down. I pressed send. Within seconds, my phone buzzed with notifications, and I knew they had seen the message. The silence that followed was deafening. I didn't expect any immediate response, and I wasn't looking for one. I had made my point, and now it was their turn to reflect on their behavior. Not long after, my mom called. Her voice was shaky as she spoke, but I didn't want to hear excuses or apologies. "Emily, I don't know what to say. I never meant to hurt you, I just thought." "Save it," I interrupted. "I've heard enough. You made your choice, and now you'll have to live with it." The phone call ended abruptly, and I felt a strange mix of relief and sadness. I wasn't going to let their guilt trip me into forgiveness anymore. They had lost me, and now they were going to have to earn back any ounce of respect I had left for them. As I sat there, reflecting on what had just happened, I realized that this was more than just about a ruined birthday. This was about reclaiming my own self-worth, about finally saying no to the endless emotional manipulation, and about realizing that I mattered just as much as anyone else in this family. The days that followed my message were eerily quiet. My parents, who usually flooded my phone with messages and calls trying to explain their side or guilt-trip me into making up with them, were strangely absent. Sarah, too, went silent. I expected them to try to call me, but they didn't. It was like they were giving me space. Or perhaps they were just too ashamed to confront me. Either way, it felt like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. But there was still a sense of bitterness that lingered. I wasn't looking for them to beg for forgiveness or apologize in some grand gesture. I just wanted them to understand the magnitude of what they had done, and that was something they couldn't seem to grasp. 2 weeks later, I received an unexpected call from my mom. I hadn't heard from her directly since our conversation, and the number on my screen made my heart skip a beat. Hesitating for only a moment, I answered. "Emily," she began, her voice unsteady. "I know I hurt you. We hurt you. I'm sorry. I didn't realize how much this was affecting you." I clenched my fist, trying not to let the anger I felt surface. This wasn't about an apology, it was about accountability. But I let her continue, giving her a chance to make her case. "I know I've put Sarah's needs before yours, and that's not fair. You've always been there for us, and I failed you. I should have been a better mother, a better person," she continued, her voice breaking. As much as I wanted to feel the satisfaction of hearing her apologize, I realized I wasn't ready to forgive her. Not yet. I had been through too much, and the damage had been done. She had taken me for granted for too long, and now that she realized what she had lost, she thought an apology would fix everything. I had no intention of letting her off the hook that easily. "I appreciate you saying that, Mom," I replied, my voice firm. "But an apology doesn't fix everything. This wasn't just about missing my birthday. It's about a pattern. A pattern of choosing my sister over me, of minimizing my achievements, and of making me feel like I didn't matter." She was silent for a moment, clearly caught off guard. "I never meant for you to feel that way," she said softly. "I know you didn't," I said. "But intent doesn't always matter. What matters is the result." There was a long pause on the other end of the line. I could hear her sniffling softly, but I wasn't going to soften. I had to stand my ground. "I need time, Mom. Time to figure out if I can trust you again. Time to decide if I even want to let you back into my life." After a long, tense silence, she finally said, "I understand. I just want you to know that I'll do whatever it takes to fix this, if you'll let me." But I wasn't going to make it easy for her. I had spent my entire life bending over backward for them, always being the one who gave in, who forgave. Now it was time to turn the tables. "We'll see," I said, my voice calm but resolute. "I'm not going to rush this, and I'm not going to let you back in just because it's convenient for you." The conversation ended with no more words of apology, but I knew things had shifted. She was no longer in control of the narrative, and I had set the boundaries that needed to be set. Over the next few months, my parents made their attempts to show they were sorry, small gestures here and there. But I wasn't fooled. I saw through their attempts at buying my forgiveness, at making everything go back to normal as if nothing had happened. I wasn't going to let them think that a couple of gifts or a few kind words would erase years of neglect. It wasn't until months later, when I received a birthday card from my mom, that I truly understood the depth of her regret. Inside was a simple message. "I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I hope one day I'll earn it. I love you, and I'm sorry for everything." That card didn't erase the years of hurt, but it was the first real step in the right direction. For the first time in a long while, I allowed myself to believe that healing could be possible, but I knew it would take time. I didn't let my guard down immediately, but I allowed myself the space to process. With each step forward, I became more certain that the boundaries I had set were not just for my family, but for me. They would have to prove their worth to me, just as I had always proven mine to them. Ultimately, I realized that this experience wasn't just about a ruined birthday or a neglected relationship. It was about standing up for myself, about learning to value my own needs above everyone else's. And when I finally let go of the hurt and the resentment, I realized I wasn't just reclaiming my relationship with my family. I was reclaiming myself. Do not forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, press the bell icon, and share your thoughts in the comments.